Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today, live from Maracaibo, Venezuela, and San Antonio, Texas, with my friend, the one and only Mr. Uncle Charles. Man, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm glad to hear, man. I'm glad to hear. I'm doing pretty good too. Look, I named this podcast AI Automations for Real Estate.
I like that.
What can you tell us about Ari? Because if anybody's listening to this podcast or watching this podcast right now, Charles has been to this podcast at least 3 times, at least. And he's told his story multiple times on how he got started in real estate and how he made millions and lost millions and then made it back up, and how he used to run a mortgage company and a broker shop and HBHS and all of these things that he's done throughout the world of real estate, creative financing, subject twos, wraps, lease options, wholesaling live, which is his event coming up. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So Charles he's done a lot. Like, I would say, because the world of real estate is a very broad world, right? Like, there are people that do multifamily, commercial. I would say you've done a little bit of everything, Charles, but now you got into this whole different vertical, which is automations, man. How do you get into that?
Well, appreciate you sharing all that. I've been around for a long time, so that's why I've done so many things, because sometimes you gotta pivot, when the market's changing. So, and I've just been lucky to be around, some really good people. I think I'll start off by saying this. I got to give a little bit of 60 seconds of history here. I started. I've taught a lot of people a lot of different type of real estate, because at different points in my career of real estate, I had pivoted to one thing or another, and throughout that journey, I've met a lot of folks, and the folks who are with me during those periods learned, whatever it is that I was doing, and I've always been the type of person that I really when I take action on something, like, I really focused on it, and so, from curative title to overages, like I do overages right now. People get post foreclosures. There's excessive funds. People don't know there's so many ways to make money, and most people just hear about wholesaling, subject to novation, flipping, and there's just so many other ways. And I've been in business a long time, and I used to run HBHS with my ex-partner, and we used to do a lot of deals. We used to, he and I focused on doing volume. So every year, we're doing about 140 deals average, and it's a lot of work. You need a lot of people when you do that many deals, and especially if you're flipping and building a portfolio. And we were doing a RIA, and we're doing events, and it was a lot of stuff. But that all came to an end January 2024. And for better or worse, it is what it is. Decisions sometimes happen, and you got to move with it. And I got really lucky, man. I'll tell you a story real quick. About 7 years prior, I helped out some mother keep her house, and never heard back from her again. Never knew anything about it. And I've always helped people. It's just what I do. She had a son that was 17 years old at the time, and this guy grew up to be somebody very high, an AI engineer or data scientist, if you will. And he turned out to be somebody very, very top of the food chain in the AI world. And he's tied to a big group of these AI guys. Are all together. I'm saying, they all know each other. And what happened was that they one of them started to get into real estate, which is not this guy, but another one. And they came to Wholesaling Live. And then the second year, one of them became my student. and they were making a lot of money with some of the stuff that I was teaching. I didn't know any of this at the time, of course. And then when the company split, I had gotten to know these guys pretty well because I get real personal with my mentees. I had already been teaching for about maybe 3 months, and I get to know them, and so they knew that the company was splitting. And I had shared with them some of my aspirations and what direction I wanted to go. I had committed to them. I said, I'm still going to teach you until July, and I got a visit. So 7 of them total, and they all had their own sphere of influence in the AI world. And I didn't know nothing about AI, man. All I knew was what I had heard. I had maybe used it twice, and so they came to me, and that's when that young guy identified himself to me. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I had helped your mom 7 years earlier. Well, apparently they had gone to a couple other big time gurus in the industry, and I don't consider myself a guru, but they had gone to a few guys, and they never got past the gatekeeper. What they wanted to do was build something. They wanted to build something, and they didn't know exactly what they wanted to build, but they wanted to build something using their skills that had to do with AI and real estate. And they knew I had a book of content, a library of content. So that's what they were looking for, and they were also looking for someone who had the means to do it. Now, I primarily talked to one of them, or actually 3 of them. Well, one of them I see all the time. The other 7, the other 6 I don't see all the time. I see one of them all the time. We've gotten pretty close, but they wanted to build something, and initially it was going to be a course, and then they built it very fast, and then it was very, very intuitive. It was like, wow, this thing's very powerful. And then I can't say live what mobile company, but one of the guys in the group was like, hey, well, I was one of the main engineers for this particular mobile company, and we built the entire AI. Why don't we just build one? And I was like, well, what do you mean? I mean, like ChatGPT? And they were like, yeah, like ChatGPT. And of course, it was too awesome for me to even believe that, because how are you going to build something that has cost companies billions of dollars to build, or millions of dollars to build? But by of May of 2024, it was very, very powerful. I can't go into the specifics of how they did it, or how they got this thing to learn all the information that it knows. But by May of 2024, and even today, I can tell you this right now without a shadow of a doubt, and I would challenge, in a friendly way, I would challenge any mentor, any guru, any coach to go head to head with Ari once we launch. There's no way. There's no way. It's too smart. It knows everything from any type of real estate strategy. I mean, of course, if you ask it like, hey, do you like the color in this paint? It's not going to know that. But there's no strategy it does not know. And the other beautiful thing about it is it's something that I've always liked to do, is help people, which is why I did Wholesaling Live. Is that you could take 10, 20, 30, 50 mentors, and and Ari's going to answer more. You could put 1,000 people on Ari, and it will answer all their questions at the same time. You could take any mentor in the United States right now, any guru, and there's absolutely no way that they're going to be able to answer as quick as Ari, or as detailed as Ari, and in all the different type of strategies. That's how powerful this thing is, and we're fixing to launch it. But what the reason I said May was because I realized something, because I read a lot, that education in the United States is readily available to everyone, and people don't respect education. They may pay for it, but they're not really paying for the education. They're paying for you. They're paying to,
Proximity.
yeah. And hey, Mike, can you close it? And so I told the guys, I said, hey, we got to get data. Can we get data? And they were like, that's impossible. We can't get it done. Not even the big major GPTs can do that. Now, what we realize today is that they can do it, They just never going to do it because all those systems that are coming out that are being built by these $1 million companies, multi-million-dollar companies, they're general purpose. And what people don't realize is, and I didn't realize is, you got descriptive AI, predictive AI, generative AI, and other AIs. But what they built with a Gen AI was predictive capabilities. And so I was like, man, we got to get data, or we got to make it comp, or we got to make it analyze deals. And so we were supposed to launch in July of excuse me, in May of 2024. But then they made a little breakthrough. They were like, hold up. So then we postponed to September. And in September, right before we were going to launch, we had a breakthrough. And they figured out how to get on live data. What we're about to launch, Ricardo, is live data. In other words, imagine this. There's no purchase of data. There's no storage of data. There's no filtering of data. I'm talking about, let me have subject to properties in Tampa. You're going to get a list. You're going to get the list that you should be calling. Let me have tire landlords in Dallas. You're going to get the list that you should be calling. Let me have wholesale deals in Las Vegas. You're going to get the list all live. If it's online, you're going to get it, and there's no storage of data. So they taught the AI to do this. Now, most folks, when I talk to them, they like, well, they want to know how that's done. I can't tell them, but immediately they think we're using an API or a scraper. You can't scrape any of this. You can't scrape any of the major sites. They'll shut you down, and all the major sites that hold data will not authorize you for an API unless you're a specific type of company. They're definitely not going to do it for AI. But what our guys found is how to get the data, and so they started to build on that, and it got better. It got better. It got better. It got better. Like today, it's like it's phenomenal. I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, just to see its power, we pulled the entire FSBO list from all platforms for the entire United States. The entire thing, boom, with phone numbers. That's how powerful it is. And the other thing is, we were thinking about launching, and then November we had another breakthrough where we were able to capture land. So that was another thing I wanted land. And then we had a breakthrough on comping. We got the comping down to about, we're doing $5,000 to $10,000 on the comping. So you will be able to put an address in and say, give me the comps, and it'll get it. Right now we got it down to about 5,000 to 10,000. When we first started, it was like 40,000 off, 50,000, but they're getting it better, getting better. And then it'll analyze any deal. It knows more than any guru, like I already said that. But one of the things that I wasn't going to put in there, and that we figured out that we could do, we figured out very early that we could do it, was buyers, was phone numbers. Now, anybody listening to this podcast, I challenge you to go to any of the major GPTs right now and ask it for a list. Can I get a list of tired landlords and wherever the hell you want? It's going to say you can't do it. It's going to tell you how to do it, but it's not going to do it for you. Well, the same thing with buyers. It's not going to give you data. These all the major GPTs will not give you specific data like phone numbers and emails. Not going to do it. It may do it for a business, but not for like, hey, let me have buyers in 7251. Not going to do it. Well, we made a breakthrough, Ricardo, and I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to get into that because I didn't want, I thought it was powerful enough, and I didn't want to compete. I didn't want to build CRM. I didn't want to go up against people. I didn't want to have fights or pick fights because, in this business that we're in, everybody's always happy as long as you're not competing with them. And but you know what? I decided that fuck it. We had the capabilities of doing it, and I authorized it. And this project has cost me a lot of my liquid capital. Today, Ricardo, today, I was told by my engineers, these are not, guys, for any of you listening, these are not engineers you're gonna find on Fiverr or fucking Upwork. It's just It's not that kind of fucking engineer. These are real guys. Today, I was told that we have mapped the entire United States for buyers and their phone numbers. What that means is that once we launch RE, that someone could on their phone um, go online and be like, "Hey, let me have a list of buyers in this particular address, or let me have a list of tire landlords in Dallas." Now, for the buyers, it has the contact information. On the acquisition side, there's some data that will come with phone numbers, and some that you'll have to skip. But the beautiful thing about it is that there's nobody in the real estate industry that has anything close to this. And I don't mind talking about it because, as my engineer shared with me, it would be too difficult for somebody to build this right now. And you would have to have the right people. You'd have to have the money. You'd have to have the right people. For example, there's people in the industry right now, and I'm not throwing casting stones at anybody, but there's people in the industry right now who are working on AI or bots. And I think that's awesome. But there's nobody that's built an independent AI. They're using ChatGPT, or they're using Gronk, or they're using Gemini, or they're using some type of prompt or a workflow. There's no specific GPT for this anywhere in the industry right now, and we got it. We built it, and we're fixing to launch it. And I really believe that once we launch it, I really, really believe that we're going to shock the entire industry, because what this is going to do, Ricardo, it's going to give anybody and everybody the opportunity to level up very, very quickly. The other thing I'll tell you about this system is that it's also in Spanish, and it's also in Spanish. So anyone who's who wants, a lot of Latinos are kept out of the real estate world because all the platforms are in English. Well, with Ari now, that's not going to be a problem. So why I'm gonna shut up here and let you ask me some questions, and then I see right here. I'm hoping that I can show you. I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate it for you live
Let's do it. I
with
want to
my.
see it.
Can you share the screen?
Yes, you can.
You know what? Let me just do this live. Let me log into it real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. I love that.
So what we're about to do, man, and for those of you guys paying attention, this is gonna be a treat for you guys.
So before you get there, Charles, what are the five main tasks that Ari can do for a real estate investor?
Well, you know, the concentration of building RE, and initially we called it UCAI, but I realized that the thing's bigger than me. Like, it can't be named after me. It's bigger than me. It belongs to everybody. Um, the main thing is that everybody, we're going to give people protocols and how to use it, of course, because it can be used for educational purposes. Coaches can use it to enhance their educational courses, but at its root, anybody who doesn't know can learn from it. As long as you need a course syllabus, so you know what to ask. You know what I'm saying? And then you can ask the system, and it's going to teach you. You can learn. But what the beautiful thing about RE is, although we got to do disclaimers, the beautiful thing about RE is that they built it to be specific purpose. Now, all the other GPTs, the multi-million-dollar GPTs, are general purpose. That's why they'll never release this type of data, because they're general purpose. So we feel we have a real big edge on what we're doing and what we invested in. Our system is not just for general purpose, but it's also specific purpose. So let me explain. So a person can use it to learn, right? Or coaches can use it to enhance their learning. Imagine this. You know who I'm talking about. I proposed this to a gentleman, and I said, "Look, man, you got over 800 students. Can you talk to them all at the same time? Can you answer all their questions at the same time?" And no, you can't. It's impossible. But Ari can. Ari can answer all your students' questions at the same time based on your course. And so, you know, let me disclose a little something. You know, we've had a little bit of pushback from some of the folks that I've approached, but I believe it's because they just don't understand what the system, what this powerful system can do, and maybe they don't believe that somebody is just an investor uh, could have their hands on it. I didn't build it. I actually just invested in, and I invested the initial platform, the data that they used, but I didn't build it. It's way beyond me, way beyond me. Like I'm, if I had to compare the knowledge to Ari to what I know, it's like I don't even, it's not even like a percent. It has over 10 million self entries, so it's super smart. But to answer your question, people are going to learn to use it the way they want to use it. Some people will use it to learn. Some people will use it for specific purpose, real world applications. Some people will use it for the data that we can get, and some people will use it to comp or analyze deals, or some people will use it for the buyers. Now, it does much more than that, but those are the five main things that most folks will be like, oh, can I answer the question? Can I learn? Can I use it in real world? Can I get data? Can I analyze deals? Can I get buyers? It covers all that. And once, so we're gonna launch right now. We're in level 9. We're in beta and level 9, so it's been different tiers. But once fully launched and we're able to get people on the platform and generating income, just like any GPT that has launched in lower stages. Get this, Ricardo. This is so crazy. We can already make it talk to you. You can ask it a question and
So it's like Alexa, right, from Amazon.
it will respond back to you. But the reason we can't launch it with that is because the tokens the tokens, the cost of the tokens to make it do that are too expensive. So for example, even any of the platforms that have launched, the major GPTs, they all launched at a very low platform. It didn't mean that they couldn't do it because a lot of them already had the capabilities to do it. They just launched at their basic because they needed to get a lot of people on the platform to get it to generate income to cover the costs. And so for us, we believe that we have the premier system that's going to really shock the entire industry. I mean, I really believe this because um, if you don't mind, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, go ahead and show it.
So what I'm about to show you, this is Ari, okay? And over here, we have some windows on the side that these windows will be used for specific items. Like right now, we have PropStream on here that we're hoping to integrate with them. But let me just give you some powerful stuff here. For example, let me show you this right here. Give me a list of buyers in San Antonio. Now, of course, I hope I don't get egg on my face here. Because that could happen, but it's very consistent. So, you know, it doesn't hallucinate very much. You see that right there?
Yeah.
There's no system that can do that right now. There's no system that can do that. And imagine, imagine you being a, imagine you being a person who just started out. You don't have a big list of buyers. You got to go get a platform. You got to be on certain platforms. You got to be, trying to find people, skip tracing people, all that stuff. But imagine now just being like, let me have a list of buyers in 78251, and boom, now you got, and you can call it directly. So we didn't want to build a CRM. I think there's a lot of CRMs that are built right now. Well, we're working on some of the stuff. Once we launch Ari, fully launch it, Ari will be able to integrate with different CRMs so that people can use it in their CRMs to pull the data, and then of course the buyers and stuff. Um, this thing's gonna this we believe we're gonna shock the entire industry, man, because we people have questions, and they're tired of going to YouTube. People have questions and they're tired of paying for $30,000 mentorships. People are tired of paying for, you know, data every single month. Thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, they're tired of paying for buyers. Thousands and thousands of dollars. And this system that we created, Ricardo, is on time. It's live, and you're going to be able to get it for a monthly subscription. And as long as you pay your monthly subscription, you can use it.
Can we comp a house?
Yeah. Let me see. What's the address on it?
Just put a 607 Speed Street, Wharton, Texas.
High School Wharton.
Wharton.
All right. Now, what's zip code?
Zip code is 77488.
77488.
Yeah.
Let me hear here. Get me comps. What I'm going to tell you is so.
Can you share the screen? Don't
Yeah,
forget to share the screen.
yeah. It works extremely. It's a lot. Right now, we're concentrating primarily on the metros. So although it can do it all the entire nation, we concentrate primarily on the metros. So the data that's more specific, down to about $10,000 to $5,000, is like your big population areas like Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, Oklahoma City. On the smaller towns, it can pull the data, but it's still we're still working on trying to get it down to more to a specific sign. It's not as specific as you can see right here. It's talking about an ARV between 150 and 190, but on the major cities, it's much more accurate. So it's in beta. It's not going to be perfect, but I will tell you this: that what system is perfect. I mean, think of all the people who do comps. And you told me this one time. You taught me this one time. I asked you a question years ago. I said, Ricardo, how come you don't use comping systems? And you said it's perspective. I look at the listings, and I was like, what? He said, I look at the listings. The agents already did the comps to list the properties. So I look at what they're listing. I look at what's compared to mine, and I make a decision in a minute. And so that always stuck with me. And actually, that's something that I mean, I can't tell you how. I can't say online how we go and look at the comps, but I will tell you that is one light bulb that turned on that we're actually using. Like I can say that we look at everything. We look at the listings. We look at the CAD. We look at properties that are listed on the MLS, and sales. In some states, we can't look at the sales because they're non-disclosure like Texas, but you can definitely look at these estimates. You can look at the red pins, and what it does, it takes all that information, and it comes up with a number. But it's much better in the larger metros.
Now, who is Ari for? It's for everybody, because even if I got experience, but I need speed. I rather talk to Ari to get some numbers real quick, or maybe to get a list pulled, or to. It's almost like
Oh,
like a virtual assistant.
so imagine being out in the field, and you're like, man, I I I, I want to run comps. Well, most people will go to Zillow and they'll get the
Zillow, yeah.
Zillow. But imagine now you can just go to Ari and just punch in the address, and you're going to get a full synopsis right there, a full workup of what you're looking at. That's one thing. Another thing I will share with you: once we get it fully launched and we get people on the platform, we'll be able to not only do video, but photos and stuff, so you can look at the properties. You don't have to go to it; it'll be right on the app. I mean, on the system. Um, when it comes to beginners, that's a no-brainer. Beginners have questions, so this thing will help them very easily. When it comes to people that are experienced, and this is where some of the folks who already do wholesaling, or maybe they're flipping, or they're doing one some strategy, what I tell them is this: I said, look, man, you're good at wholesaling, but have you ever done entitlements? You're good at wholesaling or wholetailing. Have you ever done a net sale? Have you ever done a house hack? So without you putting a lot of time into it, maybe going on YouTube, trying to find the information, Googling it, maybe trying to find a guru that does that to help you, you can just ask it and it's going to tell you. And then the response that it gives you, which is very detailed, you can then take some of those responses back because it gives it to you in paragraphs. You can say, hey, I didn't understand this. Can you elaborate more on this specific subject? And so let me give you an example. So for example, on subject two, this is how when we say real world activity, we tested it and we were like, hey, how do you do the insurance on a subject two? And I found it so fucking crazy that it said, do not, whatever you do not cancel the insurance while you're doing the subject to, only afterwards. And he knew that based on a lot of the information on how it was trained. And so that's why that's one of the main things that I wanted. I wanted it to be specific performance, not, excuse me, specific purpose, not general purpose. And so, for example, if you want general purpose and you go to, Claude, GPT, they have all the information in the world. You can go there and learn all you want, but it's general purpose. And with Ari, it's specific purpose. So although we're going to have disclaimers for due diligence, but someone who's experienced could actually actively use it to do deals.
So if I'm a brand new investor, Charles,
Mm,
brand new, I don't know anything about real estate. I'm just getting in right now. I just learned the 70% minus repairs rule.
yeah.
How can Ari help me?
Well, I mean, let's I don't know, let's just go for broke here, man. I mean, let's go for broke here and hope we don't have a Geraldo moment, right?
Let's do it.
You know what a Geraldo moment is, right?
Yeah. Can you share that again? I don't know if I declined it or.
Yeah. You know what a Geraldo moment is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When there's a huge mess up. So,
Yeah, when he tried to find Jimmy Hoffa's tomb, and then they opened it up and it was empty.
right.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. And of course, guys, once we push it out, we'll have prompts for people just to cut and paste. Right now, I'm just gonna type. And I'm not the best typer, so don't judge me. But let's just say we have ARV, let's say 220K, rehab. Let's just say rehab is 30K. Um, Wholesale fee, let's say, is going to be 20K. And this is something very basic. This is a basic thing. What is my MAO? And let's see what it does.
MAO, guys, for those of you that are listening, that are new, that don't know what an MAO is, maximum allowable offer, right? So determine the ARP after repair value, 70% rule. Blah. So it's literally explaining step by step.
Yeah, and you can prompt it to where it's like, hey, I just want the answer. I don't want the explanation. So you can prompt it to where you just get the answer without the whole explanation.
Yeah, is this is Ari is like a sailor. You know what sailors do, Charles?
They over
When,
explain.
no, when sailors, when we get an instruction, we have to repeat it back.
Hmm.
So I'll give you an example. When I was in the main machinery room, they will call me and said MMR CCS. MMR was the main machinery room. CCS is central control station. And I will pick up the phone and I said MMR, and they go MMR CCS. We're gonna turn on two Bravo main. Please conduct a visual inspection. And then I will go back and say CCS MMR turning on two Bravo main, conducting a visual inspection. Aye. That means I received the message. I understand. Now I'm gonna go do what they're telling me to do. Then after I do it, or I hear the engine come up, I will go back and says CCS MMR to Bravo Main has started successfully, conducted a visual inspection, everything looks good. And then CCS will go back to me and say, understood that to Bravo Main is up and running, visual inspection is good, aye, aye. So that way, the communications were clear in between one room and the other one, and we both understood what was going on at the same time. That way, there's no miscommunications on which engine were coming up online. Is the engine looking good or not? You name it. So what I see Ari do is that Ari
Yeah,
is saying, "This is the input you gave me. Based on the information you gave me, this is what I came up with," and boom,
that's exactly correct. So it will do that, but at the same time,
you
it
can
will.
bypass it.
At the same time, you can be like, hey, just give me the answer. Let me show you something else. Like guys, this is so when it was first built, this is the stuff that I saw the major GPTs doing. I was like, well, I get it. It's badass, but you can do that shit on ChatGPT, you know. And I was like, well, we need data. And so RE is specific purpose for information, but that is hard to get people to understand because they're like, just use ChatGPT. And there's a difference between general purpose and specific purpose. What really set us apart when we launch here, Ricardo, is the stuff that those systems will not do. They'll never do it. Not that they can't do it, they'll just never do it. And so I believe that we have a winner. I believe we're going to change. I believe we're going to shock the industry. I believe that every person who's in doubt of what they're trying to do in real estate is going to level up very quickly. And the beautiful thing about this, Ricardo, that it's in Spanish. So now, a lot of folks that are English speaking in the United States to do real estate don't understand this, what I'm about to tell you. But the Latino community for real estate is actually, in many cases, much, much larger than the American counterparts. I mean, Latinos are having events that are 2 to 3 thousand people in the room, and it's very hard to fill up a 2 to 3 thousand event for real estate in the English,
The only
American.
guys, the only guys I've seen that do that is Space and Jamil with their summit. That's it.
Exactly. Nobody else is doing that. And so how is it that these people are so interested in real estate? Because they understand something that I understood. That although I got educated, I had a past. And my path to freedom was not going to be through the corporate ladder. I needed to do something. And the one thing about real estate is a great equalizer. It doesn't care who you are. All it cares is can you create deals and the money will come. And so the one thing I've learned about the Latino community is that a lot of those folks are just being taught how to flip properties or to lend their money to flip properties. And that's not a slight on anybody. It's just that the people that are in those communities are not as advanced in all the creative stuff that the American counterparts are. Ari now is going to allow all those people to level up instantaneously. Because if they want to know about substitute, creative financing, innovations, net sales, entitlements, house hacking, I mean, whatever you can think of, lease options, it's in it. And they'll be able to learn in Spanish. Now, let me show you something real quick. Let me show you, let's just say that you're like, hey, man, can you create a contract? These are just basic things that Ari can do because it's very, very advanced. But you know, the system knows how to create a contract, or in this case, a wholesaling contract for Texas. Now, let me show you something. Let me show you something else. Now, well, the one thing about any GPT, you got to tell it what to do. You can't ask it. So right here, I'm telling it create it in Spanish. So Ari should be able to create this contract in Spanish.
That's pretty good. I can see that.
Yeah. So right here, I want to stop it because it's explaining it. But what I wanted to do is actually create the contract. So let's see if it does that. So imagine all the Latinos. You see right there?
Yes, sir.
Imagine all the American mentors now being able to teach Latinos how to do the business of real estate in both English and Spanish. But imagine now all Latinos that primarily speak Spanish now able to level up very, very quickly. Now, what does this mean? It means that anyone now with this platform that we built means that anyone now can level up very, very quickly. So that's what I've been working on, Ricardo, for a year and a half since my company split in 2000 in January 2024. I've been working on this platform, and I didn't build it, but I had input on it, of course. At least a lot of the guys that built it are not real estate guys, but they understood what to go get, and so I had to give up almost about a year and a half of my life to that. A year and a half of my life to dedicate to that, and of course, money. I had to put money up, and many sleepless nights. I mean, just today I was telling the guys that I've been working on about 5 to 6 hours of sleep for the last year and a half. You know, so this is what we're gonna launch here real soon, and I think we're gonna soft launch before Wholesaling Live, but we'll be doing the full launch at Wholesaling Live in October, where we will give everybody access to Ari at the event.
Amazing, brother. You're gonna display that at a 10 growth in Tampa, Florida, right?
I displayed a little bit of it the last event that we did, and it got a lot of people intrigued, but it's like anything else, you know, I went to school and I got my degree, and I don't really knew if I was gonna ever use it. I'm glad that I went to school because it allowed me to become a learned person. Like, I understand that you can learn, and the one thing that I do realize, some of the schooling that I got at school was that one of the biggest hurdles in business is not just building a team. It's not just making sure you're there. It's not leading by example. All that stuff comes with it. But when you're creating something, like for example, like this Diet Coke, everybody knows what this is. Whether if it was in green, if it was a different name, a different color, everybody knows that what this is. You're gonna drink it. Not that hard to sell. You just gotta sell the flavor, right? Everybody knows what this is. It's a dry eraser. Very simple. You got a dry eraser board. You need a dry eraser pins. Pretty simple to figure out how to use that. The whenever you have a new product that nobody's really used, you have to teach the public how to use it. And I've always believed that things happen for a reason. Um, you know, uh, I don't know. When one door closes, another one opens, and I think that we're right on the cusp, Ricardo. I think that things happen just exactly that were supposed to happen. I know you believe in some of that stuff also, because let me tell you why. Because these systems came out about a year before my company split. I was already entertaining, kind of looking at it. I've always helped people, which helped me help these people magnetize to me because I helped somebody 7 years ago, and here it was that I was kind of looking at that stuff. I never knew I was gonna build something like this, but I was looking to use AI to build my courses because I had recorded about 6 terabytes of data for the last 20 years, and it just so happens that all these things that I've done led to this moment And what I realized was I don't need to teach the people how to use it because the gods or the stars or whatever you want to call it align themselves enough with enough time that the people already know what it is. And now all we have to do is put it in front of them and say, hey, man,
Implemented.
you want to use it? It's going to change your life. You don't want to use it? That's okay. No harm, no foul. But this will be an arsenal because everybody has a question, man. Everybody. Imagine how many times. Think about yourself when you first started, and you were like, "Man, how do I wholesale?"
Man, they took me number one. I didn't even know what a wholesaler was.
Yeah. But
I
imagine now asking how to do a burr. How do I start a burr? How do how do I start entitlements? That was the first thing I do to start getting ready for entitlements. This thing will tell you how to do all that step by step.
I remember, Charles, when I first started getting interested in real estate, it's because I watched a TV show on HGTV, right? Flip This House with actually a guy from San Antonio, Armando Montelongo.
Hmm.
And I would look at him and I was like, man, if that guy can flip a house, I can do it too. That was my thinking because he on the TV show he looked just like a regular guy, man. Like the guy wore jeans and a T-shirt, and he had drama going around because of the contractors and all that. But that was probably more of the TV show, or who knows, man. Maybe it was true, but he piqued my interest, and I went and bought his book. And when I read his book, I learned about the 70% rule, and I learned about hard money loans. And I said, "Oh, this is how these guys fund these deals, and this is how they do this out of pocket, right?" But Charles, that process took me at least 9 months
Hmm.
to absorb that, understand it, figured out that it was real. Because then I started making offers on pre foreclosures, and I will get them turned down. And I'm like, man, this is not working out. I'm getting all these offers turned down until one day I bumped into a wholesaler at a seminar, and the guy said, "Oh, I got deals at 70% minus repairs," and I was like, "Really? Who are you? Are you an agent?" "No, I'm a wholesaler."
Yeah.
"Wholesaler? What is that?" Right? And when he showed me the deal, I was like, "Oh my god, this is legit. These are the numbers that this guy talks about in the TV show and in the book and all that." And that's how I went and got my first deal, right? But I mean, I didn't wholesale for another 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
I
I
flipped
mean,
a few houses.
yeah.
I added some rentals. But if I would have had a system like Ari in front of me, I would have compressed that time by years, not by day. It would have been by years of compression, because that's like having the whole what do you call those books that they're like series of books.
Cliff notes.
I don't remember, but they used to sell these books that came in volumes, volume number one, volume number two,
Yeah.
but there were
It's
like
like encyclopedias.
encyclopedias. That's right. So that's like having your own real estate encyclopedia in front of you, but you don't have to read through it. You just talk to it, and it gives you spit up an answer back.
Ricardo, if I could say something, like, I don't know, I want to go ahead and I want to throw some shit in the game. Can I do
Look,
that?
of course.
I We're very close to launching Ari. There's two other GPTs that are coming out after that. I'm not going to say what they are just yet, but Ari is the flagship. I will I would like to issue a challenge, and anybody listening to this, I encourage you to share this. A friendly challenge, not anything malicious, but I would like to issue a challenge to the top 10 or top 20 educators to go up against Dari to see its capabilities, not to win a prize, not to make anyone feel bad. This is a friendly thing. to see the capabilities of this platform that we have created, and then of course all the other stuff that I mentioned to you is just not only icing on the cake, but but bells and whistles and sparklers. And brother, this thing I believe is going to level up so many people so fast because the price that we're gonna do subscription on is crazy. Imagine everyone. I remember when I first started, I knew a lot about creative financing, and but I didn't know what wholesaling was in 2012. And it took me months to reverse engineer what certain companies were doing to figure out what it was. Now today is much easier because you can just go on YouTube and listen to a bunch of people talk about it. But even YouTube, the problem with YouTube is that maybe you find a series of videos that you're like, man, I like the way this guy's teaching, but then they didn't finish the video set, or the video got taken down, or they changed their channel. So you're like, damn, I got to go find what this guy was talking about at this specific minute, and who. So you got to. So that's the problem with YouTube University. With Ari, Ricardo, we're gonna change the world. I want to look at everybody right now. This is the first really podcast that I'm doing about talking about Ari. We're gonna shock the real estate industry. I'm that confident. I'm that confident that we're gonna shock the entire system. We're going to. There's a lot of good people in the business who have made a lot of money in this business, and I'm not picking a fight or anything. What I'm saying is that we're going to shock the entire industry, because once people see what this system can do, um, it's just going to be crazy, man. Because people will be able to ask anything, and they'll get a response. They'll be able to ask for data, they'll get data. They'll be able to ask for buyers, they'll get buyers. And there's a few other things I can't talk about yet, but it's going to be so awesome. Um, it's not just what I explained; it's other things that are in the system that, as we roll out the platform, that we'll be adding to the system that'll make it even more powerful when it comes to the SaaS capabilities.
Amazing, brother. When is wholesaling live?
So Wholesaling Live is going to be October 17th and 18th here in San Antonio, Texas. It's going to be a phenomenal event. We have a great lineup. I got a few other speakers that I have not announced, but at Wholesaling Live, let me explain Wholesaling Live. There's other events that copy Wholesaling Live, but I don't think any can really show the proof of all the people who came to Wholesaling Live, or the amount of contracts that were garnered at Wholesaling Live. For example, my library of content for Wholesaling Live is packed event. Everybody wholesaling. And this Wholesaling Live, we're going to have some of the top PPC companies in the nation here come to Wholesaling Live. I mean some of the best. Now we invited some other ones, but part of the criteria to come to Wholesaling Live was that you got to do it live. You got to show the people do it live. And it's either was no, I don't want to show it live, or maybe the cost was to come to the event was a little high. But the companies that have stepped up to come to Wholesaling Live, I'm just in awe of them, because they are willing to put it all on the line to show an entire event. This is my product. These are my leads, and I'm going to put my leads out there in front of all of you, a whole event center, and you're going to get contracts like that right there. That right there is respect, man. And because a lot of PPC companies, PPL companies, SEO companies, they they talk about having the best leads, but can you show us? Can you show us? Can you show us live? Can we use your data live right here in front of everybody, not behind closed doors, not on a Facebook Live, not on a recorded platform? Can we do it live? And so we have, I think, at this point, five PPC companies who have stepped up, and I got a lot of respect for them because, man, it's like you're doing this live, like people watching, like you're the guys, and so you don't want to be the only PPC company at Wholesaling Live that doesn't get a contract. And so I got a lot of respect for these folks. And there's a few others that decided not to come, which that's okay. Whatever the reasons were, that's okay. We also have, for example, one of the primary sponsors is PropStream. Love PropStream. They
I
have
love PropStream too. Shout out to Burton and
yeah,
Brianna and all those guys in PropStream. They always come through.
PropStream is the cornerstone, in my opinion, of real estate. I mean, I know we built our platform, but we don't compete with them. We do different stuff. I mean, they have the premier platform. Everybody knows it, and so I'm so happy that they're one of the primary sponsors at Wholesale Live, and they're going to be there in full effect. We also have a new company that is just taking the industry by storm, and this company is called Investor Base. They built a platform um, where you can get buyers instantly. It's a whole system. It's unlike what we're doing, of course. What I like about their system is that you can look up, see the properties that are sold. It's all live, and they get the numbers right there. You can call right there. And so they're gonna be at Wholesale Live. And the one thing that we're gonna be doing at Wholesale Live this year that is something we haven't done in the past, we're gonna dispo live. So while we're wholesaling live, the entire event, we're gonna have a comping table, we're gonna have a contract table, we're gonna have a title company receiving contracts. We're gonna also have a we're gonna have a dispo team at Wholesaling Live, a top dispo team that'll be dispoing, but the platform will be investor based, where we'll be getting all the data from them live, everything live in front for everybody to see and everybody to participate. And so that's what Wholesaling Live is. It's you're going to come to an event where you are the event. You are the event. You're not coming to sit down and listen to a bunch of folks tell you their sad stories. And even then, the speakers that are coming to Wholesaling Live are not there to tell you how hard things have been. They're there to tell you how they're making money. This is how we're making money. These are the platforms that we're using. This is the strategies that we're using. That's what they're there for. And then the sponsors are not there to give you a massive soliloquy of how great their platform is. They're there to tell you this is how it gets done. This is how you use it. This is the best way to use it. And then we're gonna do it. And then we're gonna do it. And people are gonna make money at Wholesale Live because if you get a contract, you're gonna make money from that contract. And so it's going to be a beautiful event. It's the third installment of Wholesaling Live. The first two were massive successes. You were at the first one. If you remember, it was just crazy. It was packed. And then, of course, your team actually saved us on the second one with all the AV. So you saved us on that one because our AV team at the time bailed on us, and you got your team because you have a whole AV company. So we're doing the third installment. We didn't do it in 2024. It's because you already know, the company split, but we're back, and I think that it's going to be the best one yet. And we're going to wholesale live, and we're going to dispo live. Give me a second.
Shout out to Daniel McClam, Investor Base, for
Yeah.
being
So
one of the main sponsors to Wholesaling Live. I introduced you to Daniel, man. So
yeah, you did.
I served that on a silver platter, brother.
So you actually, it should be told, man. You actually introduced me to a lot of these people.
Yeah.
Back 5 years ago, or maybe 6 years ago, because 5 6 years ago, I didn't, I was just doing deals, man. When you came to our office, I was just doing deals. I didn't really have, a, you know, I wasn't really involved in the world of real estate. outside of what we were doing. And then you came around and you're like, hey, we got whole skating live going on, this event, that event. I was like, where all these people come from? And
But
I didn't really.
to be honest, Charles, I wasn't plugged in either. It was something that just happened during 2018 and 19, kind of like organically, when I got together with the other guys that were organizing Wholesaling Live. But I didn't know any of these people from Phoenix or from Dallas and Tampa, Florida, like all these different crews, like the Carlos Reyes, the Sal Shakir, the Daniel Moore from Propelio, and a lot of these people I didn't know who they were until we put that event together, and that's kind of like what brought us all together from different parts of the nation. And of course, there were other events as well that Maxwell was putting, um and that. I think that's when we started getting plugged in, from San Antonio to Houston, and Houston to Phoenix and Tampa, and and today I'm on a mastermind that now I know people in every state pretty much. You know, I was just talking to David Alls today. He said, "Hey Ricardo, I'm going to meet the mini family in the same week of your event in St. Louis," and I was like, "St. Louis? Go figure. There are a lot of players in St. Louis, man.
Yeah.
A lot of them, right? And like, but if we don't invest in networking like that, we'll never meet them. So there are players in every state, I believe now, and people that are like doing even a lot of bigger things that we ever did, and they're very keeping it to themselves. That some of those guys run silent. They don't, because when I was at my biggest peak in real estate, I didn't know anybody. I was just on my own, like a horse with the blinders on. Like I didn't know who was who. Not even in my own city. Not even in Houston. And then I was forced to start networking when I started going through setbacks and after Harvey and all that, because I had to become a wholesaler. Now I needed to sell houses. But if it wasn't for that storm, Charles, I think I would have been in the same bubble on my own, flipping houses, having some rentals, and not caring much about what anybody else out there was doing.
You know, um, I was asked earlier today, because I was in a meeting, and they were like, "Man, Charles, are you still doing real estate?" Yeah, I still do real estate. I'm not really interested in. I'm more interested in helping people do the business than like I'm not. I didn't rebuild HPHS to do wholesaling. Like I haven't even launched. I haven't even launched HPHS. To be honest with you, it's there, and we do real estate, but I do a lot more creative stuff when it comes to the real estate side of it. You still got to make money. I mean, we've spent a lot of money on RE, but we haven't launched it yet, so it's not making money yet. We know it will, but it's not. So you still got to do real estate, and what people don't realize is there's so many ways to do it. Most people are stuck on wholesaling, flipping, um, portfolio, maybe Burr, but they don't realize that the world is much bigger. I mean, for example, one of the best lists to go after in real estate is the post mortgage foreclosure list. What is that? Like, hey, it just got foreclosed. Yeah, it got foreclosed. But if you identified that property had 7 years of payments, then call me, because we're going to make some money. And post foreclosure overages, or rather surplus funds, are a real thing. I'm working on one. I'm actually working on three right now. One is over 100,000, but I'm working on three right now. And once we get those things done, those one's paying about 25, one's paying a little over 100, one's close to 50. So we give the owners of the homes that lost those homes a percentage of those funds, usually 50%. But think about it. You're not having to do ARVs. You're not having a comp. You're not having to go look at the house. Like we're in real estate, but we're not doing no real real estate functions. And so, that's some of the stuff that I do now. Creative stuff. I'll give you another. Can I give everybody a little treat?
Yeah, of course.
So, for example, we did a deal. This is what I call reverse wholesaling, and this is how ignorant I was to reverse wholesaling. So years ago, back in 2014, I would hear about that, and I thought, well, shit, this must be a reverse way of doing wholesales, because we had just really when we learned how to do wholesaling, man, back then in 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, dude, it was like fishing in a lake of just pure fish. You could get deals left and right, man. And a lot of people ask me today, like, why did that change? Well, I think partly the economy. I think more people are in the business, but what I really think is the public knows what it is now, and so that's the difference. And so when I was hearing about reverse wholesaling, I thought that it was a system. So, wholesaling 70%, ARV 70% minus repairs, wholesale fee, MAO. I thought it started down here, offer, create a note, and then take the down payment on top, which is the reverse. I don't know. In my mind, that's what I thought, and we got really, really good at it. I didn't realize that when they talked about reverse wholesaling, that they were just talking about find the buy box. Ask your investors what your buy box is. But I'll give you a little treat. Well, I closed a deal here not too long ago. It was a small church where nobody wanted it. It was a converted house. It was hard to sell. It was in a bad area. And I told my guys, hey, we'll do this deal. ARV was 245, CAD value was 215. It needed about 40 in rehab. It needed about just to fix it for a church, but to fix it back to a home, it probably needed about 70. And the guys who brought it to me, they had it for 85. I said, you need to get a price drop to 75 so I can pay you. So we were banking on the 75, which we got. And so I told my guys, go find a little occult church. It's a church. Go find one of these little churches, man. One of these little churches that are trying to come up. And that's what we did. We found a little church, little group of folks, and we're like, hey, we got this deal here for you, man. We're not gonna do no rehab, right? They're like, hey, we'll do the rehab. We'll do the rehab. They're tax exempt to no taxes, and they wanted a $2,000 payment. I said, look, what we can do is this, man. We'll do 165. 165. You put 20 down. You put 20 down. We'll create a note at 145. At I think 11% interest rate and some change. So I gave them a $2,000 payment. They were happy. We'll take it. And then remember, we owed the seller 75. So then I found a note investor, not a note buyer. Note buyer is different. They want performing notes. They want to discount your note. I found a note investor who cared more about the deal. And I called my note investor. I said, hey, I got this deal. It's a perfect deal for you. We got a 11% interest rate, 10-year term. So your money won't be tied up for 30. And you don't have to do no rehab. You don't have to qualify anybody. There's no RMLO because this is not owner-occupied property. I'll sell it to you for 130. You get $15,000. You get $15,000 of equity out the gate. So imagine this, Ricardo. So we have a 145 note minus the 75,000, and that put us so that we get to get the difference. So you create this dude, excuse me, he's buying at 130. So he's buying at 130. He got $15,000 of equity. So at 130 minus the 75,000, we're at 55,000. And when I gave those guys half of that, okay. But on the other side, remember I told you that we took a down payment down?
Yeah, the 20K.
Yeah. So we took 10 down, right? Can I take that 10?
Yeah.
The other 10 they didn't have. So I created what we call a silent second. Not a performing second, like one that you
Yeah,
would have
like
to
one with
approve.
a payment. Yeah.
So I took that and I sold that for $6,000. So I got a promissory note from them, right, tied to the properties, 10,000. Found somebody else. Hey, you want this? What's the rate on it? The rate on it is 13.5%. I'll sell it to you for 6,000. So we made 16,000 on the front. On the back end, we gave half of that away, And so we made the difference of that 55. That's 27.5, and that is on a deal. Imagine most people in San Antonio at the time were just trying to wholesale that for $10,000. They were trying to wholesale that for $10,000. Look at the amount of money we were able to make just by being creative. And that's the difference between learning to wholesale from somebody who just wholesales or learning from somebody who can be creative. That's the type of stuff you're going to find in Ari. That crazy?
That's crazy. Well, October's you said October 17 and 18 or 16 or 17. Let me look at the calendar.
So it's October. Can I show you the website?
Yes, you can. 17 and 18.
Let me see here. Yeah, 17 and 18. It's going to be a fabulous event, man. And here's the website right here. And anybody who wants, right now, we lowered the prices, man. Instead of giving a bunch of coupon codes, we lowered the prices down, so anybody can get in on board right now, 30 days. For
Can you
30
share that
days.
again, Charles? It went away.
Yeah, let me get it real quick. Can you see it?
Yes, sir. There it is.
So we can, we lowered the prices for everybody. Right now we have Pace Morby as a keynote. We have Nick Perry coming in. He runs Seven Figure Cartel. Logan Farmer runs the number one creative title, title system in the nation. We have RJ Bates. We have another speaker we haven't announced. Pat Hilton is going to be the MC. There's yours truly right there. We lowered the prices to 97, 297, and 497 for the early bird on the general, the VIP, and the elite, instead of doing a bunch of coupon codes. So, I mean, everybody who buys the elite will get access to Ari. They'll get the most powerful Ari. And then, of course, we haven't put all the sponsors in yet. We're going to do that. Here's the schedule. It's going to be a badass event. The last two times we had a competition. We had RJ Bates won in 2022. We had Brent Franklin won in 2023. We skipped 24. We're going to have another champion. And then we have lots of testimonials, guys. We have lots of testimonials from people who just loved being at Wholesale Live, and I welcome you guys to go check out those testimonials, because that's what tells you whether people enjoyed the event or not.
Amazing, brother. Well, because you show yours, I'm gonna show you mine. How about that?
Let's do it, man.
So I got the real estate entrepreneurs event at 10 Growth in Tampa, Florida, 2025. Um, by the way, if you're lazy, you're comfortable where you are, you don't want more in life, you're skeptical, you don't think you deserve more, you're okay with living a mediocre life, then this is not the place for you. We ask you to please stay away as far away as possible from attending this mastermind event. Um, this is only for 200 people. I don't do it large like you do. I rather handle less people, and the reason why is because we focus more on building relationships from one to one than creating deals. Like you do at the event. You create a big boiler room, which, by the way, we've done that in the past. But I think I want to focus more on the networking portion of it. That's how you ended up meeting a lot of these speakers that and sponsors that are coming to your event as well, right? So we do have a general admission for $497 and VIP for $997. We have also Logan, who's going to be at your event. We got Amir from MotivatedSellers.com, Michael Paggi, Stephen Nagy, Jim Blinkov, Walter Devene, Carlos Gonzalez. Carlos is a beast, man. He's in the Tampa area. He's doing fix and flip lending, you name it. We have Mr. Charles Hernandez that's going to show us everything there is about Ari. The guys from, REI Premail, Jacob, and Jake, and then Zach Ritchie from Fund and Grow. And today we had confirmation that Steve Richards will be coming to the event as well with Team Architects. And he's going to be talking about ayahuasca. Like, some people don't know what that is, but
Yeah.
we're going to be talking a little bit about ayahuasca in Tampa. And And so Ray Spencer is going to be with us as well. I talked to him today, and he's committed to go. Rafael Cortez is going to be showing up. We're going to have a lot of guys, and a lot of people are going to be coming to Tampa, Florida, June 27, 28. That's just in a couple of weeks now, maybe 15, 20 days from now. And I'm looking forward to see you guys there. Charles, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate you, brother. We got Ari and Wholesaling Live a schedule already. We got a 10 growth schedule. Guys, don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. Listen to this podcast. Share with this with your friends and family. And I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.